Today, I'll be demonstrating how to use the Netography MCP server to interact with Netography Fusion through an AI chat assistant. I've already installed and configured the MCP server with Claude Desktop following the provided README. Now I can simply start chatting. Let's begin by asking Claude which IPs have generated the most flow. As I submit the question, Claude automatically translates it into Netography Fusion API calls. Claude identifies the top IPs by traffic, both inbound and outbound, and offers to investigate the top talker. I confirm, and it initiates an IP intelligence lookup. This replicates what you'd see by entering the IP in the Fusion portal manually. The assistant initially makes a malformed query but quickly corrects it using the built-in NQL guide. It's adapting to unfamiliar calls by learning proper syntax in real time. When it attempts to use a new API endpoint, it asks for explicit permission, which I grant. It then gathers further metrics about the IP: top ports, destinations, traffic analysis, and IP reputation. The result is a comprehensive view of the IP's activity and classification. A rich set of information about this IP and related network activity has been gathered. It even did some of its own analysis of what that might mean. With a more specific prompt, I could have it expand on this analysis or just stick to the facts. Now let's look up information about a known IP, 8.8.8.8.8. I'm sure many of you know what that IP is already. Claude queries the IP Intelligence API and then searches for any network traffic involving this IP. Next, it decides it should also look for DNS queries involving this IP, a smart call knowing what this IP is used for. It didn't get the syntax exactly right the first time, but it makes an API call to look up what fields it can use and then gets it right. It also checks for any context labels in Fusion associated with this IP. 8.8.8.8 is identified as a Google DNS IP, but you probably already knew that. More importantly, it also discovers a specific internal host, 172.31.9.3.2.53, that communicates heavily with it, possibly using it as its DNS resolver. That might violate your security policy and circumvent your internal DNS security controls. Let's find out more about this host using Google for DNS resolution. Claude makes the API call to retrieve the context for the IP. It decided to also look up IP intelligence information and traffic from Fusion about the IP, although I'm not sure I asked for it. That is probably a good idea. The host is in AWS, and we're seeing outbound UDP traffic consistent with DNS usage. We also are seeing some critical vulnerabilities on this host reported through Netography's integration to Wiz. Claude is rightfully concerned about these critical vulnerabilities and provides some additional analysis of the traffic and some suggestions for actions to take. This demonstration has shown how the Netography MCP server can empower users, especially those less familiar with the Fusion portal, to query Netography data via natural language. It's an intuitive, flexible way to extract insights, drive action, and democratize access to critical network intelligence.